Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Sam. Welcome back to another video. So Apple has not only announced brand new regular iMacs today, as Mark Gurman had previously sort of suggested over on Twitter. Mac Rumors is now reporting that new iPod Touches are coming tomorrow. So Apple appears to be doing like a press run week of things, and honestly, I'm really enjoying this. This is like the most fun I've had covering Apple, and I don't know, it feels like a long time. If you guys are excited for this video, as always, drop a like down below, always helps me out, and of course, hit subscribe so you stay up to date on the latest Apple news. But let's go ahead and talk about these new iMacs and then the iPod Touch. All right, so here's a look at Apple's brand new iMac. They came out with brand new 4K 21.5-inch models and 5K 27-inch models. And real quick before we jump into that, if you're looking to buy an iMac Pro while they didn't upgrade anything internally, like seriously on that, you can now get the machine, if you want to, with 256 gigabytes of RAM. So if you've ever wanted a quarter of a terabyte of RAM in your iMac because you've got 3 trillion 4K video streams you need to edit, go buy that new iMac Pro. I know that like the 16 or 32 gigabytes I have on mine is perfectly fine. But jumping back to the regular iMacs, there's nothing that changed externally. In fact, on Apple's website, they go in great detail about the Retina display and how it's the best iMac display ever made. And I realized there's nothing new with the screen. In fact, the only changes with the new iMacs happen internally, and that is with the processing power. So Apple's big claim with the iMac this time is that it can get up to twice as fast as the old iMac. Obviously, if you spec it out, make it as fast as it can possibly be. And while that sounds cool, Apple's copy for the iMac is terrible. Pretty freaking powerful. I don't know who let that go through. I don't know who's in charge of Mac copy marketing and who writes all the little sayings about the computers, but that's cringe. That's real cringe, and I don't want to buy the iMac anymore. This is like the equivalent of asking a 7th grader who's like starting to curse but also not totally confident in their cursing ability to come up with a new catchphrase for the next Mac. I'm not a fan. Maybe I'm overreacting, but let me know what you guys think down below. Now on the 21.5-inch iMac, you get 8th generation quad or 6-core CPUs, and then if you go up to the 5K 27-inch, you can either get 8-core or 6-core configurations. As for the GPU, you've got Radeon Pro Vega graphics, and you can upgrade to Radeon Pro Vega 48 graphics, but none of that comes stock. You'll have to like custom order your Mac to do that. That being said, if you don't want to pay all the money for a really expensive $5,000 new minimum iMac Pro, you could spec this out and get a really close and I feel like a pretty comparable computer at the end of the day. So I'm a big fan of the CPU upgrades. The iMac was long overdue for changes, but I have to warn you guys about the darker side of this iMac because Apple has been doing this for years. They're still getting away with it, and I do not know what part of the engineering team thinks that this is still responsible as Apple Incorporated. They have put a normal hard drive in the baseline 21.5-inch 4K iMac. So yes, getting in the pricing, the 21.5-inch starts at $1299, the 27-inch iMac starts at $1799, but neither of those include solid state off the bat. The 21.5-inch 4K iMac still includes your standard spinning disk hard drive that was standard 8 years ago, or 7 years ago, or 10 years ago. Everything has shifted to solid state, but to make sure that the price of this computer stays low, Apple has thrown this extremely cheap, extremely unreliable piece of technology in here that should not be in any computer in 2019. So anyway, that's the only word of warning I have for these new iMacs. I would recommend strongly getting an SSD, and it might take a little bit longer to get the iMac you want, but Fusion Drive is like you could probably get away with it if you really didn't want to spend the money, but absolutely in no world, in no dimension should you be buying the base iMac without upgrading the hard drive to something, anything different. All right, now moving away from the iMac, Apple is said to be introducing a new iPod Touch tomorrow. I know this sounds like a dream, but in Apple's continued barrage of press releases, on Wednesday, the item of the day is said to be the iPod Touch 7. This is a product I have been following for, I think, 2 years now. I was there when there was a little bit of hype about it. I was there when there was no hype, saying it's probably never going to happen. The iPod line is dead. And I am here to tell you today that it's coming. Not only has there been code in iOS 12.2 found that suggests and references a new iPod model, but Mac Rumors in a new article today says that they got a tip earlier in the month predicting this week's launches, saying that there were going to be new iPads on Monday, that there was going to be a new iMac launch today, and guess what's dropping on Wednesday, according to this leaker, a new Ipod Touch. Well, now that the first two have come true, and that information lines up one-to-one, there's only one fill in the blank here, and that fill in the blank is for the Ipod Touch 7. Mac Rumors has previously said a tipster suggested it would have an A10 Fusion chip, so no matter what, it's going to be faster. Now, there's a lot of questions about design. Is it going to be the same? Is Apple going to change it up? Unfortunately, I think it's just going to be a spec upgrade. If you look at the other products that Apple announced this week, they upgraded the iPad with better specs. They upgraded the iPad mini with better specs. They updated the iMac with better specs. And fill in the blank again, they're probably going to update the Ipod Touch with better specs as well. That is a product that without question, I will be picking up and pre-ordering. I am so excited to be talking about that product again, just because I like being able to get involved with iOS for a price point under $200 or $300. So I will be sure to make a video as soon as that drops. It's going to be super exciting. I feel very confident in this just because there's been so many rumors swirling about an Ipod Touch. And if Mac Rumors got this tip and the first 2/3 of that tip were true, I don't know why the last third of that tip would not come true tomorrow. Apple's doing things that I've never seen before. I've been doing this stuff for 6 years and I have never seen them do a week like this. But do I love it? Heck yeah, pal. I love this. This has actually been really fun, and I hope you guys are sort of enjoying like watching things unfold as well. As somebody who covers this stuff, it's been a lot better to be able to like breathe and actually like analyze what Apple's doing. I can guarantee I would have never talked about new iMacs if Apple dropped them alongside new iPhones or new iPads or a new Apple Watch, just because priority wise, I care about iPhones and iPads more than iMacs, but I got to talk about them today. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, drop a like if you enjoyed it, hit subscribe so you stay up to date on the latest Apple news, and I'll see you guys hopefully tomorrow with an Ipod Touch. This is so exciting.